Tonight on Missed Mando, we are thrilled to bring you a very special interview ahead of the PDGA World Championships this week. My regular co-hosts, Robbie and Galen, apparently have other things to do, so I have recruited two people who are way better, Ricky and Alejandro Diaz-Llana, two of the top young players in Ontario out of Bronte Creek Disc Golf Club. They're here to give me a hand with this. Ricky and Alejandro, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Yeah, of course.
I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the quality that you bring that my regular co-hosts are completely lacking. And our special guest tonight truly needs no introduction. He was our first ever guest on Missed Mando, and we are absolutely thrilled to have him back to preview Worlds. Welcome back to the show, Canada's top MPO professional, Mr. Thomas Gilbert.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be on here with you all and give you a little bit of the insight of the World Championships.
Love it. I think you just got back from the players meeting. How did that go?
Good. Yeah, it was a nice players dinner. They had us all out in Lynchburg at the Academy for players dinner, and then nice, quick and short players meeting. I think it was only maybe about a half hour long, but going over kind of some of the tournament procedures and policies, and then as well just the opening ceremony for the Worlds this year.
Were you the flag bearer? Or
no,
did someone else?
Karen Martell was out here, so she was able to represent Canada and do the flag bearing for our country.
I think that's awesome. I think we have 6 Canadians there this year.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And I love that. So this is I believe it's your 7th appearance at a Worlds?
Yeah, I believe so. Ever since 2017, I haven't missed a World Championship.
Love it. How has your approach to the tournament evolved over the years? How do you prepare sort of for the mental game aspect of it?
It's kind of hard to prepare for.
Do you do anything different?
Yeah, I try not to. Actually, I think the more I realize it's a big tournament, the more nervous I become for it, and and it can kind of start to affect my game. So it was actually kind of funny. One of the tournaments I played earlier this year, the European Open, I had zero expectations of even playing the tournament because I actually hadn't qualified until the Monday qualifying, like 3 days before the tournament started. So I was expecting, because there's a bunch of really good players in the Monday qualifier. I was like, maybe I won't make it and just caddy for someone this weekend, and made it in the Monday qualifying. Played 2 practice rounds after that, and then was playing the tournament on Wednesday, I think. So it was like a big turnaround. Didn't have any expectations. Ended up shooting really well once at each course and getting top 10. So I think
your
that's
best,
good.
Your best major finish.
My best major finish, yeah. So I'm trying to bring that similar mindset of not even worrying about where I place in this tournament. Just go out there and shoot whatever rounds I shoot, and hopefully that gives me a good position.
During your rounds, are you a score checker, or are you not till you're submitting the scores? Or are you kind of looking, or are you kind of keeping an eye on things?
I kind of just keep my eyes off the scores until the end of the round. I'll definitely look as soon as the round's done, just to see who's shooting hot, who's putting themselves where, and but even when I'm playing well, I don't really even look at the scores and see where I'm at. I just want to kind of stick to my game, and then wherever that puts me, of course I got to look at the results between rounds. But just keep to myself for the main part throughout the actual tournament play.
Does that help you sort of keep focused on the next shot that you have to execute, and maybe help flush away shots that have already happened, especially when maybe they didn't quite go as planned?
Yeah, I think for sure. I think a big part of just keeping a level mental game is not really letting any external factors come in, so including the score or where I'm at, because sometimes I might say I'm one stroke off of being tied to the lead or being near a filmed card, and I feel like that added pressure maybe makes me play a little bit more aggressive than I need to be. And when I get aggressive, I tend to usually leak shots a little bit more or rip a shot over that I didn't need to do. And so just playing my own game and not letting anything else affect it, I think works best for me.
Hello, Thomas. Reggie here. When did you get to Virginia, and how have the practice rounds gone?
It was really good. I got here last Friday morning. I met up with Chantel and we played New London for a practice round for a mixed doubles tournament, which was on Saturday. So yeah, I've been here since last Friday, but I also had played around here last year, so I was also still familiar with the area.
Have you played either courses before, and has anything surprised you about the courses?
So I hadn't played Ivy Hill before, just being on the golf course. Hadn't seen it yet, but I did play New London last year when I was traveling down from the MVP Open in Massachusetts. I made a stop through on my way down to Charlotte and got to take a look at the course. And yeah, it was quite good, quite fun, and I was excited to play it again this year.
So, talking about the courses, let's start with New London. So it's long, it's wooded, it's got OB and really punishing rough. What's your sort of general strategy for for attacking the course? Does it favor sort of one style or another, or different shots?
I mean, I think it's as long as you can keep it in the fairway. So fairway hits are, I think, the epitome of the course. You really got to keep it in the fairway. I think a big part of the course is when you get off the fairway, your scramble shot needs to land in the center fairway of the next shot, because having that swing and having just the look at the fairway is the most important thing, because a lot of the courses you can kind of just try to get more distance up there and you can usually scramble something and get up and down for a par. But here at New London, it's pretty specific where you need to be able to have like a good swing, good footing, all of that. And that's really only in the fairway that they have carved out of the woods. The sides of the fairway are not too easy to scramble from.
Which holes do you think have the best opportunities to pick up birdies?
I would say a lot of the par threes are very scoreable. They're a little bit more open and reachable. I think a lot of the par fours and fives are actually the more difficult holes, just because you have to keep it in the fairway consistently for every shot. And so I think a lot of the par threes are going to be a little bit more scoreable, like 1, 3, 4, and maybe like 14, 16, those kind of holes.
Which hole do you think will play the hardest?
I think the hardest hole will likely be hole number 6. It's a 1,200-foot par 5, and a semi-wooded fairway, so it's woods on both sides. OB runs the right side the entire way of the 1,200-foot hole, so you kind of have to make sure to never err to the right side of the hole, just because you'll be picking up an extra stroke. And then on the end of the hole, there's like a little island of OB that you need to cross, and it's probably about 150 feet of OB. So unless you have a really good position to be able to like reliably cross that OB, it's going to be a lot of like position play and trying to just make sure that you're staying as close to the fairway as possible. So I think with the length and the tightness and the rough that they have on the hole, it'll be really hard for people to birdie.
You pretty much just stole my next question, which was going to be breaking down hole 6. 6 and 9.
There we go.
6 and 9's, over 1,200 feet. They have to be some of the longest holes on the tour, I would imagine, or certainly up there. We've already talked about hole 6. What about hole 9? It's even longer than 6. It doesn't have that little OB pocket. It seems much more straightforward as, long and just long. What's the strategy? How would you break down that hole?
That one is actually a lot easier. It's a more open style hole, so it's if you're familiar with Fox Run out in Vermont, it's almost identical to the way that hole 7 used to be set up. So it has OB down the right side the entire way, about similar amount of airspace available. So it's kind of just throwing as far and controlled of straight shots as you feel comfortable with. And like today, for fun, I just went aggressive as I could, like massive off the tee, massive on the second shot, and actually had maybe like 100 feet into the basket. So if you really crush it, you can get up to like really easy approach range. And but yeah, it's definitely biting off a lot of distance on the tee shot and upshot. I'm trying to just kind of get to the FPO pad off the first shot and then play it as a traditional par 4 from there.
Which other holes stand out to you as signature holes that will play well with your game?
Ooh, some of the signature holes there out of the course. I think, let's see, hole number 14 is a really good one. I think it's just like a nice, smooth mid-range turnover. Hole number 5 is a really cool one. That one, it's like on a side slope with a little bit of a pond carry and the basket at the other end of this little valley. Really simple. You can break it down into 2 like 350 foot forehands, which is more manageable. Or you can kind of go a little bit more aggressive off the tee and try to get up there a little bit further and have like a backhand mid-range or fairway approach. But I think I like to play at just, they say forehand.
That sounds smart. You can get into trouble very quickly. So let's switch over to Ivy Hills. So Ivy Hills, a golf course, but it's not some flat, boring golf course where you can just air out big, golf lines. It has the name Hills in it for a reason. Which course would you say has more elevation, Ivy Hills or Toboggan?
Ooh, it's kind of hard to determine because I've been very fortunate, and all my practice rounds I played at Ivy Hills, I did have the luxury of riding in a golf cart. So it's a little harder to gauge the amount of up and down that we did just because it was in a cart. But
you haven't actually walked it yet.
I have not actually walked it yet. So I definitely have. I've reserved a caddy for all those rounds to help me out in that sense. But I think thinking about through it the entire course, I would actually say that Ivy Hill probably has a bit more elevation. And there's like the couple really brutal walks at Toboggan, but there's maybe only like 4 or 5 severe up and down hill climbs, where I think Ivy Hill in general just has a little bit more elevation on like the entire course. And so I think it'll be similar, but I would say Ivy has just a little bit more.
So it seems that every hole has OB, hazard, or a rollaway race, or all 3. So how aggressive do you think you can be on attacking the core?
So this is one that I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised about. I watched some of the course preview that like Aaron Gossage and Ezra Aderhold.
That was really good.
And I was terrified of the course after I watched that. I thought it was going to be so hard, so like just OB heavy and impossible to score on. But then actually really luckily, I played my first practice round with Paul Macbeth, and he was like, oh yeah, it's just like placement golf. You want to just go here, 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 here. And I was like, okay, yes, I will do what you say. And it actually made it break down into really pretty simple shots. Just like, don't want to get more aggressive than you need to. It's all about placement on that course. So I think a person like Isaac Robinson actually could probably score a lot better than you'd think with all the distance. There's probably only 3, maybe 4 holes where distance is a huge advantage. But even on those holes, I would say you can get into some trouble trying to bite off extra distance because it's higher risk of going out of bounds. So I think there's maybe 2 or 3 holes out there that I probably won't even try to birdie just because they require so much distance. But definitely taking advantage of like throwing some farther hyzers into the landing zones than some of the players might have to do.
Do you find that the course is designed to sort of force a specific shot on each hole?
It forces you to land your shots like very specifically on almost every single hole. I would say like the greens are pretty quick on a lot of holes, and yeah, the landing zones are so narrow from the out of bounds that you really have to control your speed and angles coming in, and certain ways of the golf fairway slope makes it a little bit better for forehand or backhand, which I think is also really nice to mix up because it's a relatively like flat and open hole. So it's a nice shakeup, like where you kind of have to read almost the fairways to be smart in choosing the right shot. So I think it is going to be a really nice challenge and change of a challenge to a golf course where it's not just about how far can you throw it, but also matching the actual like side slopes of fairways and things like that.
I think hole 4 is probably a really good example of what you're saying. It seems like it looks on the caddy book, it looks, there's hazard, there's some OB around it, whatever. But watching the course preview from Ezra and Goose, it's a downhill shot across a hazard with a hay bale to block you from sliding onto the green to a green that slopes away from you down towards OB. That looks like a very interesting and a challenging shot. What do you think your approach to that is? Is it going to be big hyzer to try and spike into the green or something else?
For me, it's something else. That's one of the, I'd say, most difficult birdies on the course, just to land it in that little area by the green. So I'm actually going stall forehand because I have a forehand disc that kind of perfectly goes that exact distance. So I can throw it as hard as I want, and it's going to fade it's going to just stall like pretty much towards the basket as I get kind of before it gets to the water. So that's what I'm doing. It's just a matter of keeping the width of the shot correct, because it can leak to the right in the out of bounds a lot easier if I don't quite commit to my shot. So I just have to make sure that I commit to the width, and the distance control should be pretty good with that forehand shot.
Well, which holes do you think have the best opportunities to pick up some birdies?
I would say they're all pretty fair. I think, again, some of the par 3s, I think there's like 3 par 3s that are relatively short and gettable. But they also have like danger surrounding it. So I think like hole number 2, I think it's like hole number 13. There's another one, hole number 8, I believe, also is pretty attainable. And so you really want to try to get your birdies on those holes. And then as well, just, good placements in the fairway on the par 4s should give you an attainable upshot. It's just keeping it nice and in the center of the fairways on those par 4s.
Which hole do you think will play the hardest at Ivy Hills?
That's a good question. I feel like it might be hole number 5. I think hole number 5 is almost unbirdieable for 90% of the field. And I think the rest of the 10% of the field that try will likely bogey. So maybe like you'll see 2 or 3% birdie the hole from each round, and then a lot of people will bogey it trying to birdie it, and then I think some people will still mess up just the approach or the layup trying to get their pars. So it's a really difficult hole. Landing zones are extremely important there, and making sure that you lay up in an area that gives you good angles of the green is also going to be really important for that hole.
5 is the one that starts with a water crossing. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. And yeah, I think it's only birdieable if you can get to that second tier that I think Aaron and Ezra were showing with their like 550-foot like hyzer flips. So it's nearly impossible. Like I've only reached the actual landing zone to be able to get a birdie once out of like the probably 8 drives that I've thrown on the hole.
Wow. And then you've got like a donut hole of OB in the middle of the fairway farther up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that gap up to the green is very difficult. So you have to probably throw a forehand distance driver through the gap, or the biggest arms can probably throw a spike hyzer over the trees on the right. And that's really risky because you're going out of bounds the entire way.
Mm-hmm. Any other sort of signature holes at Ivy Hill that you think will maybe play well to your game?
Yeah, I mean, the two kind of almost like island holes, hole number 8 and hole number 17, are really picturesque, like really beautiful. You've probably seen a lot of like Instagram reels from pros playing those holes just because they video so well. But I feel like I have really solid game plan on both of them. I feel like I've dialed in the distance really well and the line, so I'm excited to attack those holes. I think some of the par 4s, I think hole number, I think it's like 10 maybe, is also like a really good hole where it's like super downhill the whole way. And then it goes severely back uphill at the end of the hole. It's like I think like a 900 foot.
Yep.
And it's a really
it has
pretty
like
one.
a little pinch point in the middle before the green as it goes over the cart path.
Yes. Yeah. So I found a good disc that fits that fairway really well, and then gives me an easy shot straight across to the basket. So hopefully I can recreate those all in the actual tournament.
Which disc is it?
It's a Vodum, just a nice straight Vodum. Just letting the glide of the disc take it down the hill, and it sits really nice and flat on the actual fairway, so it doesn't get that skip left of the cart path.
That's good.
Yeah.
So overall, how do you feel these courses stack up against past courses that have hosted the World Championships? And which World course is your favorite out of all the ones that you've played?
I think this will be the most difficult World Championships that we have played. I think scoring wise, I mean, it's still going to probably score better than some of the Worlds that we've seen in the past, just because the level of competition has risen so much since then. I think, like Gannon predicted today, that 8 under per round could likely win, and I think that's a pretty good prediction as well. And let's see, I feel like the Vermont World Championships, so last year, 2023 and 2018, that's definitely been my favorite courses to play for the World Championships.
Yeah, like Brewster Ridge and Fox Run, they're both like good. They go well with each other, and they're so amazing.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yes, definitely. And they're both beautiful courses, and really good balance for each other.
So, as you mentioned, you played the mixed doubles event as Team Canada with Chantel Badinski, and how fun was that event?
That was super, super fun. Yeah, I had a blast playing with Chantel. She was really, really good partner for mixed doubles. We were playing super good in the best shot, always kind of picking up the slack whenever one of us would throw a bad shot. Like the other one, you'd usually step up and be able to make the adjustment or make the putt to be able to still score. I still don't know how Missy Gannon and Gannon Burr shot 20 under on 18 holes. That's unbelievable. That's so good. I thought he and Chantel were playing pretty good, shooting 14 under. It was a lot of fun.
And the double Gannons didn't even win at that score.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Freeman, Joel.
Unfortunately, I think, Misty Gannon actually got stung by Yellow Jackets in the middle of the second round.
I think she said
I feel like that might have. Yeah, 8 times. And so I feel like that might have caused it because they were leading by, I think, 5 strokes at one point, second round.
Yeah, I can see that being a consideration in how one would play from that point forward. Getting swarmed by stinging bees, not fun. Not 0 out of 10. Do not recommend.
No, don't recommend.
Where on the course was that noted for? So like they can send in an exterminator team so it doesn't happen during the Worlds itself.
Yeah, they've actually taken care of a lot of the nests already, but even just when I was playing through the doubles tournament, I probably saw a dozen different nests myself, and so it's kind of unavoidable. They've taken care of a lot of them, but there were so many out there that it's kind of just you got to watch your step and hope you don't anger one of the nests. So it's more be careful than something that the staff can necessarily take care of.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
You're not to hit the nest.
Yeah, good incentive to stay in the fairway, unless that's where unless that's where the nests are.
Yeah.
And would you like to see some more doubles events as a part of tournaments or on the tour?
Yeah, absolutely. I think double is a really fun format, especially the modified best shot and alternate shot that they do for the mixed doubles. And actually, I was talking to one of my friends, Andrew Presnell, about it not too long ago, I believe, when we were at Idlewild, and talking about like a ratings capped doubles tournament. So like the ratings cap is 2,050 rating. So you can have like 1,000 rated player and a 1050 rated player together, but that's the maximum you can be. So like it's not going to be too big of an advantage for like if let's say Ricky and Gannon somehow teamed up together, they're not going to just completely wipe the field. So it's still going to have to be like you have to balance your skill with another player, and hopefully make some really cool teams to battle against each other.
I would absolutely watch that. That sounds like that would be super fun.
That would be for sure.
I'm down with mixing things up a little, add some match play, add some doubles. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
for sure.
You started the week with the skill events.
Yeah.
And the tragedy of you being excluded from All-Stars distance competition at the beginning of the season has been rectified. I'm very glad to see that. You came in fourth, I believe, with a monster 655-foot throw. And then you jumped over to was it the skill shot? Is that what they have called the accuracy, or was it, what was the format of that? Because you got fourth in that one as well.
Yeah, so there was 6 baskets set up and 20 stations throughout the 6 baskets, and you had to throw a type of skill shot or like upshot, and the way that they score the points is based off how far away you are from the basket. So they have like a 0 to 6 foot range, 6 foot to 12 foot range, 12 foot to 18 foot, and they mark it by colors, and you get points based off what color zone you're in, and then if you make it, it's -1 point. So I think it's like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points, and then if you're outside of the circle, then you get 8 points maximum. And so you go through all 20 stations, and you pretty much want to be the least amount of distance away from the pin for all 20 stations, and then you got your points based off those stations, and whoever had the lowest points won.
How did you have fun do you like those kind of events?
Yeah, they're super fun. I think it's really a lot of fun playing, especially the skill shot. Like you get to kind of test your accuracy at the short range. So like I think it ranged between 50 feet and 250 feet. So it was really a bunch of upshots, and they'll have like kneeling obstructed forehand, like obstructed backhand, open backhand, and all sorts of shots like that. And you have to just see how accurate you can be in getting it close enough to the basket to be within those color ranges.
Kind of more indicative of shots that you'll have to throw on the course as opposed to just the distance competition, which is just,
Exactly, yeah.
Full bomb wherever
Right,
it
yeah.
lands. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it for my questions. Ricky, Alejandro, do you have anything else that you want to ask our good friend Thomas?
So me and my brother, we played Junior Worlds. We also did like the skill shot event. By chance, did he do any like rollers? You had to do.
Yep. Forehand rollers.
Yep.
Did a couple of those. Some upside down shots. They made us throw different angles and shots like that. I did a couple forehand rollers. There was one roller for like 200 that you could do either way, backhand or forehand. I think forehand was what I went with because it's a little easier to control. But yeah, upside down shots was tricky because I didn't know whether to throw like tomahawk or a scuba or a grenade or what kind of backhand throw. So it made it a little bit more fun and tricky as well.
Yeah, I think when we did the skill shot competition, there was one station where they put us 20 or 25 feet from the basket. So it was like, do you want to go for it and try and make the putt, or do you want to, or if it hits the band or something, might go, 15 feet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you have to balance out that decision making of making your shot or trying to just lay it up as close as possible. I think I did make 3 of my stations, so I was able to get -3 points for those 3 shots that I made.
Yeah. Well, I have another question about Ivy Hills. So, how do you think that course compares to other golf courses on tour, and what sets it apart from them?
Yeah, I think it's actually a really well designed course, especially for the property they have. I think the biggest difference, kind of like I was saying earlier, is the actual landing of your shots. Like a lot of times you can kind of just swing a really wide hyzer and spike into the fairway, and it's kind of just about your distance control and angle control. Where I think this one, you're really trying to match the slopes of the holes. You're trying to land it flat so you're not skipping on the fairways. So I think in that sense, it's actually a lot more skillful of shots when you're playing on the Ivy Hills golf course in comparison to other golf courses you've seen, where it's more just about how far you can get up the fairways and then scramble your birdies from there. This one's definitely, I think, going to be challenging your skill set a little bit harder.
And trying not to have a roll away on 14.
Yeah. But I mean, even that one, you if you throw it a little bit more to the right side of the fairway on the second shot, then you're throwing more into the hillside instead of onto the slope of the hillside. And it's actually a lot easier to stick on the hill. So that there's even still some strategy of where to place your upshot to be able to emit that roll away potential.
So we know you have a really big of an arm. You do 655. So at New London Tech, do you find it harder in the woods for having a big arm?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with a lot of power, makes it a little bit harder to control sometimes. So a lot of the shots at New London, I am trying to disc down a little bit more and just throw slow speeds that I can control down the fairways. So toning down to a mid-range or a fairway driver is something that I'm trying to do a lot at that course, just to make sure that the disc will always stay in the fairway, because that's the most important part of the course, is staying in the fairway. I know I'm going to probably have some off shots and some kicks in the woods, but hopefully it's just in a good enough spot where I can pitch out to the fairway and scramble for par.
No, I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's hole 6 at Ivy Hills. Is it the one that's like 340 downhill and has a really tight green?
Yes.
Super
tight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How much room is there exactly around that basket?
You have about 14 feet long of the basket, 25 feet left of the basket, 15 feet right of the basket, and then you have the whole short side is like open in that same strip all the way down. So for me, I'm actually trying to throw like a disc that will land flat when it hits, so it can kind of just slide up and not really skip. A lot of people are kind of like swinging an overstable thing wide and trying to just hit right by the basket. I think I'm going to try to land it on the green a little bit more, but definitely making the mistake long, because that will have the closest comebacker for par if you do happen to go out of bounds.
It's like with that size, it's like a circle 1/2, not even circle 1.
Not even, yeah. Maybe 35 feet across the entire green on both sides of the basket.
Oh, that's going to be fun. That's going to be tough. Yeah. Guys, any other questions?
I think that's it. How about you, Ricky?
So, Thomas, we talked a lot about your drawings. How have your putts been most of the time?
Putts have been solid. Yeah, I was working my C2 putting a little bit because that was kind of like one of my weak points in the putting competition during the field events day. So I've been working on that a lot in the evenings here. Luckily, I'm staying where there's like 6 baskets out on the property in the backyard here. So been kind of going out to those in the evening for about a half hour or so and just kind of dial in my accuracy on the circle 2s. Because, circle 1s have been really good. I think I was 98% circle 1 putting at Idlewild. And so, but only maybe, I think like 20% from circle 2. So just trying to get that up a little bit, hit a little more long range putts this weekend. And hopefully that'll help me with the scoring separation. Yeah, good question.
I like it. Thomas, any other thoughts about Worlds this week, or any shout outs you want to give before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to the tournament staff this week. They're awesome in setting up this course. It's honestly kind of blown my expectations so far, just with the course design and how professional the event is feeling. So really excited for that. Definitely excited to see how this World Championship shakes out. I think it's the first time I feel like I've never, don't even have a really good guess of who the front runner will be for MPO. I think FPO got to try to bet on Kristen. I think these courses set up pretty well for her game, but MPO, I really don't know. I mean, there's a handful of people that are obviously the front runners, but I wouldn't bet money against any one of them. So yeah, it's going to be a very exciting weekend to watch.
And in FPO, who do you think might be a dark horse that might be able to pop off?
Dark horse, I feel I would love to see Owen Scoggins win in her World Championship. That would be pretty amazing.
That would be pretty epic with these. Yes. It's like she's got obviously the accuracy, she's got the putting, but these are long. These are some long holes.
Yeah, they are.
But she has the accuracy.
I think she'll be able to score at New London for sure. But Ivy Hill definitely, especially for the FPO, requires a lot of distance, which is tough.
Especially uphill.
Yes,
she's in the first store, but her putts are so accurate that it helps her a lot
by far, and she's really good at placement as well. So I think that might keep her in the contention this week. Is just making sure that she's landing in the fairways on every hole out there at IPL.
Okay.
All right.
Is that it for everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you guys so much.
Taking up enough of your time, Thomas. Good luck this week at World, and all of Canada is cheering for you. And thank you for joining us on the Missed Mando.
Thank you guys for having me. It was a blast being here.